Hey everybody, welcome to Devo's on the Go. Glad you are here. I'm Pastor Steve, that's Ryan, and Ryan is a newly baptized, new missionary here at St. Paul's. Was baptized over Labor Day weekend and kind of is really enjoying living into this new aspect of faith and has realized something new happening around him, that God has this plan for him that he's now living into. So let's take some time to hear a little bit more from Ryan. So, Ryan, this is a new part of your faith journey now. You're recently baptized. What happened? How'd you get to that point?
Well, that's a good question. There are lots of things that happened that got me to this point. But I think one of the biggest things that caused me to get here in the first place was back when I was in college, an undergraduate. I was up late one night studying for a linear algebra exam, and it's kind of weird that it was linear algebra that kind of made me have this epiphany that I'm about to explain, because I feel like math is kind of the language of God in a way, because it's the most objective truth that there is. But anyways, nonetheless, when I was studying for this exam, for whatever reason, at like 3 a.m, I have this epiphany, because I'm thinking to myself, okay, we have all of these very abstract concepts, and we have these higher dimensional, like we call them vectors, but they're shapes in like higher dimensional space. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, these things are real, they exist, and we can calculate them, and we can make predictions as to what's going to happen to these things that are it's an objective truth. What other objective truth is there out there that I can't see that exists? And then that's when it hit me. And I'm like, okay, whoa, okay, so that's God. That makes sense. And obviously that's there's way more to it than that, but I've genuinely felt this weird experience, and I can't explain it, and it's only ever happened to me a couple times in my life, but I've felt like not something physically touched me, but something touched my forehead, not like a finger or something, but I just kind of knew, it just kind of clicked into place, and I just kind of knew, and I had this sense of peace and understanding. And from then, I just kind of never saw life the same again. There were events that happened after that had my conscience be more oriented with the person, my physical body. So with that, what I mean by that is, after that happened, this internal voice just kind of pops up in my head. And it whenever I'm in a circumstance and I feel like I'm in a place, the right place at the right time, doing the right thing, and I feel like regardless of if it's a good thing, like something productive, or you're just hanging out with your friends, you still have decisions every single day. But there are times where certain decisions are more important than other decisions, if that makes sense. And so now I'm in those circumstances, and I feel like my conscience is a lot stronger than it used to be. And so it makes my decisions, it makes it easier for me to make decisions, if that makes sense.
So you had this experience, this epiphany through math, which a lot of people would be like, really, through math? I can't stand math. I actually like math. But then you get baptized, you experience God's grace, and you're saying it's reordered the way that you go through the day.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, thanks for sharing your story, Ryan. So glad to have you a part of God's grace and church here at St. Paul's.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So we're thankful that Ryan shared his story, and one of the important parts that I heard him saying to us was that when he started to kind of look around differently through what grace had done in his life, it actually changes his day-to-day actions and decisions. How is God's grace changing your decisions? How is God's grace reordering the ways and the timing of the things that you do, the ways you interact with the world, and the way that you share the blessings that you have? Give that some thought and consideration this week, remembering God's grace has poured out over all of us, and let's see how that grace can change everything for each one of us. Look forward to seeing you in church.